at Uber, at least in many other companies, BizOps is well regarded. So if you come in and do well in the job, it opens up lots of opportunities for you to go do things. I think often over time, people will get out of BizOps and go do something else.
So let's like think about you get into a biz ops role. What does the career ladder look like for these folks?
Yeah.
And do people just stick in biz ops and try and make a career out of it over decades? Or is it the type of, is it sort of like consulting where a lot of people, not everyone, obviously, some people stay and go through partner, but like yourself, like you go do a few years and then you
Yeah.
sort of pivot and move into something else?
So when I talk to candidates, what I usually try to sell is there's good optionality coming into BizOps, just like consulting. You can stay and go progress and if it started as an IC, an individual contributor,
Yep.
then manage a team, then manage bigger teams. So that is a very much a path. In my current team, there's people who have done that. They came in as ICs, they're now managing teams. That's great. And there's room to move up. But it also gives you a bunch of optionality in that you could stay on your existing team in BizOps. There's at Uber, BizOps is decentralized. So you could go to another part of the business like Core Rides, Uber Eats, and do BizOps there.
Yep.
You can go into the business. That's another thing that people do. So they may become a general manager in the business, like one of the guys who used to head BizOps or strategy and planning in Europe. He now is a country manager on Core Rides.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting opportunity. He took that and think that at Uber, at least in many other companies, BizOps is well regarded. So if you come in and do well in the job, it opens up lots of opportunities for you to go do things. I think often over time, people will get out of BizOps and go do something else just because you have a bunch of options. And if you find something you like, that's great. You should go run with that.
Yep.
But
And
it
tell me
gives
a
you a bunch
little.
of options. Like versus just like consulting, you can go in it and just kind of poke around and get exposure to a broad spectrum of the company.
Yeah, yeah. I think that sounds right, and I think the consulting analogy makes sense. Tell me a little bit more about for the folks that think about like using BizOps or not using BizOps, but doing BizOps, and then like moving into quote like the business you mentioned. You mentioned one
Yeah.
example of like GM, and the GM comparison, especially once you're sort of more senior, makes a lot of sense to me. I'm curious, are there other sort of popular, like moving into X function? Like, do a lot of people that, is it like sales or marketing or product, or is it just evenly distributed across
Seen a
all different
mix.
functions?
So at Uber, people move into ops, which is kind of general and get sets you up on that GM path. But like on a more junior side, you might go into ops and run a little region or a project or a product in ops.
Yeah.
I have seen some people go into product. That generally can be a little bit harder just
Mhm.
because product tends to look for very specific backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I think if you come in and do a good job and get exposure and get the right work, like you can do it. And I've seen people do it.